Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about control and coordination from chapter 7 class 10 CBSE syllabus. Children, now let us discuss about pons. The pon is the superior to the medulla oblongata and inferior to the midbrain, so it lies above the medulla and below the midbrain. When a sectional part of the pon is dissected, it can be seen that the pon lies anterior to the cerebellum, that is in front of it, and behind or posterior to the pituitary gland. The broad anterior bulge in the medulla is pon and measures about the length of 2.5 centimeters in adults, and it appears as a bridge that also connects two hemispheres in the brain. Pons varioly is a part of the brainstem found just over the medulla oblongata and below the cerebellum. Horseshoe-shaped mass of nerve fibers is a critical part of the hindbrain. In Latin, pons means bridge, which also corresponds to the function it carries out link both the hemispheres of cerebrum. Additionally, it is also links the cerebral cortex to the medulla oblongata through the cerebral peduncles. It is from this structure, the pons, that four cranial nerves originated or terminated, which are crucial for transferring sensory and motory information both ways to brain and the facial regions. Pons hence provide a pathway for the nerve fibers to connect the cerebellum and the cerebral cortex. It relays impulses between the lower cerebellum and spinal cord and higher parts of the brain like cerebrum and midbrain, and also regulates respiration. The pon is a part of the brainstem that connects the brain to the spinal cord and cerebellum. It is the key structure that relays signals between the brain and the other parts of the body. Children, now let us discuss what the pons do. Connects the brain to the spinal cord, already we discussed that, and the pon is a bridge between the brain and the spinal cord, and it relays the signals, means the pons relay signals between the brain and cerebellum and spinal cord, and controls the breathing. The pons controls the frequency and magnitude of breathing, controls sleep cycles. Pons helps regulate sleep cycles, controls senses. The pons is involved in sense like hearing, taste and balance, controls movement. The pons helps control movements of the face, mouth, etc., regulate alertness. The pons is a part of network of neurons that regulate alertness. Children, now let us discuss where is the pons located. Children, already we discussed that the pon is located in the brainstem just above the medulla oblongata and below the midbrain. The pon is a horseshoe-shaped mass of nerve fibers. Children, let us discuss the structure of pons. The pons, even though appear as a bridge, the basal part of it is free and not connected to anything. It is the collection of various tracts and nuclei, all aid to serve the purpose of the pons function. These fibers of tracts and nuclei that travel down from the cortex are called pontine nuclei. The middle cerebellar peduncles are formed when fibers of pontine nuclei from one side across over to join together with the other side of the pontine nuclei. This forms the major pathways for the information to travel to the cerebellum from the brain and brainstem. The main artery for the blood supply of the entire brain is present in the pons called the basilar groove. It is a hollow groove that lodges the basilar artery and is present in the middle of the fibers. Children, let us discuss the structure of anterior pons. Anterior pons is also the origin point of many nerves like trigeminal nerve, which is the fifth cranial nerve and the most complex of all cranial nerves. The abundance nerve, which is the sixth cranial nerve, the facial nerve and the vestibulocular nerve, which are the 7th and 8th cranial nerves respectively. All of these nerves that originate from the pons serve very specific functions. Now posterior pons. The posterior pons, when separated the connections of pons with the cerebellum, the posterior surface is revealed and the pons covers the upper half of the fourth vertical. If exposes the midline of the floor, which is called medial eminence, the fibers of the facial nerves looping around the abundance nucleus form a bulge called facial colliculus. Children, now let us discuss the functions of pons. The function of pons in the brain is very important and widespread due to its physiology and its characters to respiratory control and many other cranial nerve functions as well. The function of pons in the brain can be better understood once the entire anatomy and location of the pons in the brain are clear. The two centers, epenastic center present in the lower part of the pon and the pneumotaxic center present in the upper part of the pons, control the rate and depth of involuntary respiration or breathing. Signals relay is continuously occurring and it is controlled by the pontine fibers. The trigeminal nerve provides sensory supply to the entire face, part of the neck and scalp, and is thus responsible for feeling in the face. It is also controls the muscles that are responsible for eating habits like biting, chewing, and even the swallowing process. The facial expressions are controlled due to the motor signals provided by the facial nerves that is present in the pons. It is also controls salivations as it carries taste sensations and it provides innervations to the salivary glands and also regulates the cranial reflex R. The movements of sound from the ear to brain is controlled by the vestibulocochlear nerve that originates from the pons. Pons, being a part of the brainstem, is also involved in impacting several automatic functions that are necessary for life like breathing and even the controlling of sleep cycles. Pons is also responsible for proprioception, fine touch and vibration because of this ascending medial lemnicus tracts. The ascending spinothalamic tract present in the tegmentum is also responsible for pain and temperature sensations. The descending corticospinal tract is the pons regulate the voluntary motor controls the body and the voluntary motor control of the face, head and neck. It is controlled by descending quadricobulbar tracts. The activity pons helps in REM means rapid eye movement sleep. The other voluntary motor controls by pons is done for bladder control. Children, let us discuss about pons pathology and injury. Damage in pons can lead to many problems since there are many nerves and nuclei possessed by it that connects and intersects many networks and important bodily functions. The diseases or damage can lead to severe damage. An individual suffers from this damage disrupts voluntary muscle control and they also lose the ability to speak if there is a damage to nerve pathway in the pons that connects the cerebrum, spinal cord and cerebellum. This is called the locked-in syndrome. The locked-in syndrome is also a result of reduced blood flow, which can also result in strokes and clots or sometimes even bleeding in pons. Central pontine myelinolysis. Central pontine myelinolysis is caused when the myelin sheath of nerve cells in the pons is damaged and results in paralysis. Lacunar stroke. Lacunar stroke is caused when the arteries that supplies blood to the pons are blocked due to any reason and it results in loss of memory, inability to speak and walk, paralysis, coma or even death. Pons tumor. Pons tumor results in sensory defects of trunk and limbs, weakness in the facial muscles and even hearing impairments when the cochlear nerve is affected. Pontine hemorrhage. Pontine hemorrhage is caused when any of the fiber of the pontine nuclei are damaged and this also results in paralysis of the lateral rectus. Due to diseased blood flow in the arteries rising from the basilar artery, it leads to infraction of the pons that damages the function of the lower limb. Children, we conclude that finally the bone in the brain is visibly the most distinct part due to their horseshoe structure and bridge-like appearance. Even though from the embryonic stage of the adult stage the bones develop is only 25 centimeters length, it controls most important voluntary functions like chewing, swallowing, and even involuntary movements like breathing. The uniqueness of this part of the brain is that it is the starting point of many cranial nerves that also foster the diversity of multiple nuclei and fibers. The pons has a long list of functions that it controls, even starting from the tiniest change and in facial expressions and arousal is controlled by the pons to the heavy duty of managing sleep, that is the circadian cycle and other activities through motor control. Due to its cerebellum connections posture, it is also maintained by the pons and importantly, the equilibrium and muscle tone is also maintained by the pons. With this presence, many things run smoothly and even a small damage can create a heavy in the body leading of serious effects like paralysis and death. Therefore, a proper care and regular healing through a proper diet to prevent the strokes and keep it activated is very, very important. Thank you.